She grew up playing ball against the boys. Physical, feisty, no mercy given, none expected. That mentality shaped her into one of the toughest competitors in the league, and now that same...
I grew up playing the basketball with the boys, so it's always been physical and feisty, and that's what it is, and you gotta find a...
Toughness is being tested in a way no jump shot ever could. 3 players, 3 separate incidents. One question nobody in the WNBA seems ready to answer. Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham, Lexie Hull. 3 names that on any given night define what makes this league must-watch basketball. But over the past stretch of games, their names have been trending for a very different reason, and it has fans, analysts, and even rival players asking whether the league is doing enough to protect the athletes who are carrying it. Let's rewind. For months, these players have been putting their bodies on the line, night after night, city after city, in front of sold-out arenas and record-breaking television audiences. They didn't just play the game, they elevated it. Clark's range and vision turned her into appointment viewing from day one of her rookie season. Cunningham built her reputation on grit, the kind of physical, no-quit style that makes veterans respected long after the highlight reels fade. And Hull has spent years doing the unglamorous work, diving for loose balls, taking contact, showing up for her team in ways that don't always trend on social media but absolutely show up in the win column. Individually, they represent different eras and different roles on the roster. Together, they've become something bigger, a symbol of what's right about this league's rise, and more recently, a symbol of what might be going wrong behind the scenes. The first crack in the story came when Clark went down hard on the court. One moment she was in full control of the game, the next she was on the hardwood, holding her leg while the arena went dead silent. Fans everywhere held their breath, hoping it was minor. It was. And in the days that followed, plenty of people started asking the same question. How does the league's most-watched player end up in that position without more built-in protection around her? Then came Hull. A hard hit near the eye left her bleeding, dazed, and according to accounts circulating afterward, back in the game without the kind of full evaluation fans expected for that type of injury. That detail alone lit up timelines. Medical professionals, former players, and fans all weighed in with the same concern. Why does it seem like return-to-play decisions are happening faster than they should? And then Cunningham, a knee injury that immediately triggered whispers about how serious it might be, the kind of injury that makes fans nervous not just about a game, but about a career. Through it all, there was no real update from the league office. No detailed statement, just quiet. That silence is really what turned this from 3 separate injury stories into one bigger conversation. Because here's the thing about fans of this league, they've been loyal through the years when nobody else was paying attention. They bought the tickets, they bought the jerseys, they showed up when TV time was scarce and headlines were rare. So when 3 of the league's most visible players go down in a short stretch and the response is mostly silence, that hits different. It doesn't feel like bad luck. It starts to feel like a pattern. And once fans start seeing a pattern, they start demanding answers. If you're new here, this is exactly the kind of story we break down on WNBA Updates, the moments that go beyond the box score. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next deep dive into everything happening around Caitlin Clark, the Fever, and the rest of the league. Now, back to the story. What's made this moment different is that the players themselves didn't stay quiet for long. Behind the scenes, according to reports circulating among fans and insiders, frustration had been building in locker rooms across the league, not just about these 3 injuries, but about a broader sense that player safety wasn't being treated with the urgency it deserves. When Clark, Cunningham, and Hull's situations became public within a short window of each other, that frustration reportedly boiled over into something the players wanted addressed directly, rather than quietly. That's when things escalated. Hashtags referencing all 3 players started trending across platforms. Fans flooded comment sections demanding transparency. Analysts on national sports shows, including some who rarely cover the WNBA in depth, suddenly found themselves dedicating airtime to the league's handling of player health and safety. The conversation shifted almost overnight, from talking about wins, losses, and stat lines to talking about protocols, accountability, and trust. And that shift matters because trust is the foundation of everything a growing league is built on. Fans don't just show up for buckets. They show up because they believe in the players and, by extension, in the league that fields them. When that trust gets shaken, even a little, it doesn't just affect one news cycle. It affects how people feel about tuning in tomorrow. To be clear, none of this means the WNBA has ignored player safety altogether. Leagues at every level deal with injuries, and not every incident is evidence of a systemic issue. But when three high-profile players go down in close succession, and the public communication doesn't keep pace with fan concern, it creates a vacuum. And in that vacuum, speculation, frustration, and distrust tend to grow fast. So where does this leave the league moving forward? For Clark, it means a rookie season that was already historic now comes with an added storyline about durability and how she's protected on the floor. For Cunningham, it means facing recovery with the added weight of uncertainty about her long-term outlook. And for Hull, it means her toughness, long an underrated part of her game, is now part of a much bigger conversation about what teams and the league owe players who take hits in the name of competing hard. What happens next will say a lot about where the WNBA is headed. Will there be clearer communication protocols? Will player health updates come faster and with more transparency? Or will this moment pass the way plenty of controversies do, loud for a week, then quietly forgotten? One thing seems certain. The players aren't planning to let it be forgotten. And with a fan base this engaged, this passionate, and this vocal, neither is the audience watching from home. This is bigger than 3 injuries. It's about whether the league that's finally getting its moment in the spotlight is ready to match that spotlight with the kind of care and transparency its stars and its fans deserve. That's where we'll leave it for today. If you want to stay ahead of every twist in this story, from Caitlin Clark's recovery timeline to how the league responds, make sure you're subscribed to WNBA updates and drop a comment below with your take. Is this a wake-up call for the league or just noise that fades by next week? Let's talk about it. See you in the next one.